Hey there, welcome to the Solar Builder Buzz, where we give our 2 cents per kilowatt on the distributed solar industry. I'm Chris Crowell, Editor-in-Chief of Solar Builder magazine, and joining me today to discuss the post-IRA home solar sales landscape is Carina Brockl, Chief Revenue Officer with Aurora Solar. Hey Carina, thanks for taking the time.
Hi, hello. What a pleasure to be on today.
The Inflation Reduction Act, it did all sorts of stuff, but for our purposes, the main thing is it did extend the 30% clean energy tax credit until at least 2032, which sets up a great playing field, for the solar industry to grow. And it can be applied to the cost of solar PV system as well as a battery storage system. So we're about a year, we're over a year since the IRA passed, and I'm just wondering kind of broadly what impact you and your installer customers are actually seeing.
I'll offer us a balance. I'll maybe go first a bit into elaborating the good stuff. And then I'll go a bit about, it also is a lot of change. And then I'll go into what that can be, how challenges are coming also from that. But overarchingly, to kick us just off, what we've been seeing is overarchingly a positive impact. And let me quote a bit a report that we do. It's called the Solar Industry Snapshot. And what we do here is we look at data from 3 different sources. So you'll have about 1,000 just American consumers. We have about 1,000 solar professionals. And then we have also Aurora's data, proprietary data that is included, which is over 10 million solar projects now designed within the platform. And these 3 sources really give us an idea about how has the Inflation Reduction Act actually been doing. So, and the first positive here is it really provided a boost for residential solar for the industry really shortly after its implementation. So about 45% of solar professionals definitely noticed just an increase of demand as a result of the IRA. And then about another 40% just expect even to see this demand in the near future. Then on the homeowners, more than 75%, so 77% actually to be precise, have voiced that they're interested in going solar. And then show another about 40% increase in projects counts year over year we saw within Aurora, which is really great. And 70% of the solar professionals actually noted that jump in their business, and then it grew. So very positive numbers to start with. I would also say we check in with our installers in the industry in general. We hold an annual event. It's called Empower. We did it just this fall, and we try to bring together really industry leaders to really discuss just what's actually happening in the industry. So pain points, opportunities. And what we heard is solar CEOs in general see the IRA as very motivating. It moves the industry forward. It moved it forward in 23, and they also see that for 2024. There's also short-term effects. So what we also get is on the other side, it also created a bit of uncertainty, and especially on community solar, distributed generation projects, and how they obtain tax credits, and then just guidance on lower income tax credits and greenhouse gas reduction fund applications has also begun to appear, and which is moving energy pipelines forward. But in general, I would say it had also a short-term effect on maybe stalling homeowners first take a decision, pausing, and really wanting to understand more. So that is also a reality and an effect that you can see.
I wondered about that homeowner piece and how that has looked, over the last 12 months. Just because obviously the average person's not thinking about the IRA every day like we are. They probably assume it stands for retirement account, which it also does. So, anyway, they're not thinking about the opportunity the way we are. With now being such a great time to think about going solar, what are solar companies doing to educate or spread the word for those out there that, IRA is just a retirement account?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very good question. It's a really important question, I think, for the industry. And what I mean by that, it's at the core, bringing, educating homeowners about solar is, I think, in general, an important piece for us, because it's a complex process. It is not trivial. It is a meaningful purchase for anybody. And so educating the homeowner really from the beginning and all along and all the steps is really important. So it really starts already just how we educate around solar, anything that has availability on like the IRA at the beginning of the funnels. And what I mean by that, really starting with marketing, how solar companies go to market. It starts with very simple things, how websites educate, how solar companies advertise, and then even word to mouth, and in the sales process, it's also a very important step, because that's where a lot of the education starts to happen for the homeowner.
With battery storage systems covered under the tax credit now as well, is presenting battery storage as an option kind of just like an automatic part now of the post-IRA sales and education approach?
Interestingly enough, we see the most spikes in attach rates actually in California. Now, we could debate, is it IRA or is it a result of NEM 3? And maybe it's probably both. It's a combination of an approach, which is just how net metering, the changes that you saw in one of the core solar markets of the United States, has really made, of course, now the purchase of a battery way more attractive. It makes the presentation of the ROI, the return of investment of a solar installation, much better. But so also then again, there comes about education about what does it mean, and attached to a battery, it might maybe increase, but then also help with the ROI over time. Presenting those calculations in a meaningful and pointed way is really where a lot of work sits. So definitely seeing attach rates going up, depends on the state, and depends a bit on the additional, what you see in additional policy.
Part of the issue with the broader the IRA is that, there's many homeowners that still can't take advantage of that tax credit. They don't have the tax liability, they're more lower income. Is there anything new post IRA in the sales and education approach for these customers? Are you seeing ways that your solar installers are able to service this part of the market that maybe still wasn't really helped that much by the IRA?
It really depends, would be the answer that I would give here, because I'm seeing it. Some installers really do focus and really want to shift. They educate, they try to really bring solar to any household. So really the democratization of solar is a real topic for some installers. And then it depends, as you rightly were saying, it depends a bit on the focus of the installer. Nationwide, statewide, that can shift just focus areas, and then depending on the segmentation of the customer. So it depends. I really think it depends where the focus sits. I think there is still a lot more room for all of us in the industry to really focus on that, because I think the big part here to elaborate is just simply financing. How do today still a lot of solar installations get financed? And the shift that we've seen really recently and through the IRA also, from different mixes. So you had a lot of either through loan, you could cash loan, or then the lease approach is typically the three that you see were the most dominant ones. And what we've been seeing is really a shift towards the lease or TPO products, is what we've seen with the recent interest rate hikes. So what we've been seeing happening in the market. And so with that comes a different accessibility for different parts of the community or the region.
Is there a way for more regional, local solar installers to get into selling leases if they weren't before? And are you seeing that? Just any,
yeah.
As that trend happens, I'm wondering if it's leaving some installers behind or not. Yeah.
Very good question. So I think the market is really moving, and it's moving very fast. And what I mean with that, They're very known, great installers out there that already have the lease model for quite some time. That's their business model. They went to market even pre-IRA or pre the interest hikes. So that's how they focused on differentiation. And what we've been seeing recently is just a lot of companies now, might it be installers, financial companies, are just very much more interested now in that part of, or in that financial product. And so you see a lot more new products, financial products, actually coming to market, and a lot of newness. And so from that, of course, a smaller or a mid-sized installer can benefit from that, because there is just simply more access to way more TPO products out there now. It's happening as we're speaking, so it doesn't happen from one day to the other. But I'm pretty confident that there's just more choices that are now out there for homeowners, and then also for installers, of course, to offer.
The other aspect of the IRA, though, kind of goes beyond solar. There's all sorts of goodies in there for homeowners to take advantage of. And I'm wondering if you're seeing solar installers expanding into some of those areas, like heat pumps or electric panel upgrades, because some of those avenues are rebates instead of tax credits, right? So any homeowner can take advantage of those. And I'm just wondering if that's maybe a way that they're expanding to get a foot in the door with customers who maybe aren't quite ready for solar, maybe next decade, once they have to have an EV and all this other stuff.
Most installers focus actually just on installing a PV system first, before going into positioning something like a heat pump or even a battery. Again, batteries, depending on the market, are actually now sold very, very high attached. But it's actually first making sure that the homeowner takes the first decision and takes that leap into the solar world. And so it starts really there. And then what we can see is either you have an immediately larger system that you attach with a heat pump or a battery, or the other choice that homeowners make is just starting first with a system that is easy to be expanded. By the way, households also grow. So it's not only actually the energy consumption per capita, so per person, really is skyrocketing. It's really going up. So we're electrifying our homes, we're electrifying our life and how we live day by day. And so actually a solar system that got installed maybe a few years back, maybe with a couple, 2 humans living under a roof. Now there might be 4 of them. And so you see the profile of the energy consumption really changing in households. And that's actually the interesting part, I think, for the solar industry and the installer, is coming back to that customer that maybe a couple of years ago had a different consumption profile and energy, has shifted now due to lifestyle, and now is actually ready for, might be possibility for a bigger system, but then also for those attached, as you were saying, and electrifying the home.
With that in mind, at RE Plus, I was checking out the changes you all made to the Aurora Solar sales mode. The big thing was the amount of customization that's now available based on customer feedback. That was always the rallying cry, which I thought was awesome. But I do wonder, if too much customization can be a bad thing. For someone thinks that they know what to do, but you guys have a lot of data, and so many transactions come through the system. So I guess just in general, I'm curious what you see as some best practices when it comes to setting up and really nailing that sales proposal.
When the pitch is concise, it's tailored to, you're totally right, the region and the homeowner. So they feel taken care of. They feel that the installer is really local to their needs. That's where we see typically installers doing really well. And so there is that trick about, depending, of course, what your reach is. Some installers really focus only on a certain area and are very happy and very successful in that. Others really focus on larger regions. But with that comes, again, the complexity need. So you might want to have a very different, or you need to have a battery attached, for example, in California is a must, or is a very important part, versus you might not need to do that or want to do that in another region or another state. And so that flexibility is really important, depending on the size, of course, of the installer. But yeah, keeping it simple for the homeowner is definitely a key aspect. Again, educating along each step, taking out complexity, but still making sure that the homeowner has the right level of information to take good decisions.
Well, very good. That was a great chat to look at where we are 1 year post IRA and kind of set the table for 2024 for the residential solar industry. So, Carina, again, thanks for taking the time in your busy schedule to chat with us today on The Buzz.
Of course. What a pleasure, Chris. Thank you so much for having me.